Welcome back, treasure hunters and coin enthusiasts, to another jaw-dropping journey through the unbelievable world of coins, where today we are going to unravel the mystery of how a simple 1996 quarter dollar transformed from ordinary pocket change into a record-breaking marvel worth an astounding $19 million. And if you are new here, get ready to be amazed, because this story is packed with twists, turns, rare mistakes, and minting errors that will make you rethink the value of every coin that passes through your hands. And if you have been with us before, you already know this is the place where history, fortune, and tiny details collide. So let us dive deep into the extraordinary case of the 1996 quarter, struck at the Denver Mint during a time when billions of quarters were being produced for circulation, making it one of the most common coins of the 1990s, yet hidden in that ocean of ordinary strikes are anomalies so rare and captivating that a single example of this quarter has reached a price tag of $19 million at auction. And what could possibly make a coin so familiar, so everyday, so universally handled by millions of people suddenly climb to a value that rivals priceless artwork and royal jewels? The answer lies in the fascinating world of minting errors and mistakes, which can turn a regular coin into a legendary artifact. And in the case of the 1996 quarter, several types of errors have been documented, and each one contributes to the mystique and value of this particular issue, starting with dramatic doubled dies, where the inscriptions "Liberty, in God We Trust," and even the date itself appear twice, almost ghost-like, etched upon the coin in striking clarity, visible even to the naked eye without magnification. And such doubling is no ordinary flaw, because it demonstrates a misalignment in the dies during striking, creating what collectors call a double die obverse or reverse, depending on which side carries the duplication. And these coins ignite bidding wars, because they are undeniably rare and cannot be replicated intentionally. Another spectacular mistake found on certain 1996 quarters includes off-center strikes, where the entire design has been stamped far from its intended placement, leaving wide blank areas of the coin surface that should have carried part of the design. And sometimes these off-center strikes are so dramatic that half the coin shows blank metal while the other half displays only a portion of Washington's portrait or the eagle design on the reverse. And the more severe the off-center misstrike, the more valuable the coin becomes, especially when the date and mint mark remain visible, which is essential for collectors. And then there are broad strikes, an error that happens when the retaining collar fails during striking, causing the coin's design to spread outwards beyond its usual rim, leaving an unusually wide, distorted shape that instantly identifies it as a minting anomaly. And in some cases, the 1996 quarter has also been found struck on the wrong planchet, meaning instead of being pressed on a standard clad quarter planchet, it was accidentally struck on a dime planchet or even a foreign coin blank, making the coin lighter, thinner, and sometimes missing parts of the design entirely. And these wrong planchet errors are among the most coveted, because they are so clearly different and rare. And then you have die cracks and die clashes, where the dies themselves show signs of damage and imperfections get transferred onto the coin surface, creating raised line splits or even ghostly images of the opposite side design faintly appearing where they should not. And all of these errors add up to create a spectrum of rarity and fascination around the 1996 quarter. But the crown jewel of this story, and the reason one particular example soared to $19 million, is believed to be a unique combination error where a double die obverse coincided with an off-center strike on a wrong planchet, creating an unmistakable, one-of-a-kind specimen that no other collector has ever seen before. And because coin collectors and investors know that uniqueness drives value beyond measure, the competition to own this coin pushed its price to historic highs, with multi-million-dollar bids from private collectors, museums, and even investment funds specializing in rare assets. And what makes the tale even more thrilling is how some of these coins were discovered not in treasure vaults, but in ordinary circulation, picked up from pocket change at a gas station, or found while sorting rolls of quarters from the bank. Stories like these fuel the dreams of millions who now search their loose change hoping to stumble across one of these multimillion-dollar rarities, and that possibility keeps the legend alive that somewhere out there another undiscovered 1996 quarter could be waiting in a forgotten jar, a dusty drawer, or even beneath the cushions of an old couch, and the lore deepens when you realize that the 1990s was a decade of immense coin production with billions of quarters minted each year. But even in such huge numbers, accidents happen, dies wear out, misalignments occur, machinery falters, and those fleeting moments of imperfection create mistakes that slip through undetected and into the hands of the public, and over time those mistakes evolve from unnoticed curiosities to the crown jewels of numismatic history. And when you add the fact that the 1996 quarter marks a period in U.S. coinage before the introduction of the wildly popular state quarter series beginning in 1999, this coin also represents the final chapter of the classic Washington quarter design, making it historically significant beyond just its era value, and collectors love that combination of historical context and minting anomaly because it creates a narrative that is both emotionally and financially irresistible. And as word spreads across coin forums, auctions, and social media, the legend of the $19 million quarter grows larger, sparking curiosity, excitement, and even disbelief as people examine their coins under magnifying glasses, searching for doubling, cracks, off centers, or planchet errors, hoping to join the ranks of those lucky few who discovered their fortune in pocket change. And every time a new auction occurs, and another high-grade error example of the 1996 quarter surfaces, the prices climb higher because scarcity combined with growing demand can only mean one thing, and that is skyrocketing value. And as we reflect on the magic of this story, we see that what makes the 1996 quarter worth $19 million is not only its physical flaws, but the human fascination with rarity and perfection, and the idea that something so small and ordinary could carry a life-changing fortune. And this lesson resonates beyond numismatics, reminding us that greatness often hides in plain sight, and sometimes it takes only a sharp eye and a little curiosity to uncover treasures that others overlook. So the next time you come across a quarter, especially one minted in 1996 at Denver, take a closer look, because you might just be holding the key to unimaginable wealth. And if you enjoyed this unbelievable journey through the story of the $19 million quarter, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned, because we will continue bringing you the most fascinating coin stories, hidden treasures, and jaw-dropping discoveries that could change your life forever. Next, 1992 quarter dollar USA coin. We deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins where ordinary change transforms into life-changing treasures, and today's spotlight is on a coin that most people have handled countless times without realizing its hidden potential, the 1992 quarter dollar. A coin with a face value of just 25 cents, but in extraordinary cases has been valued at an unbelievable $15 million because of rare minting errors and mistakes that make it one of the most sought-after modern rarities in U.S. coinage. And the story of this coin is not only about the coin itself, but about the mysteries of the minting process, the unexpected flaws that slip through into circulation, and the incredible passion of collectors who will pay unimaginable sums to own what appears to be just a simple quarter, yet is in fact a piece of history that bridges chance, rarity, and treasure. So let's explore in detail why the 1992 quarter has captured so much attention, and how the combination of errors, scarcity, condition, and historical context have made it a legend in numismatic circles. And when we begin to talk about the 1992 quarter, we must first remember that the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of these coins. So on the surface, nothing about them seems extraordinary. But within that enormous production run, a handful of examples emerged with errors so unique that they immediately attracted attention. And one of the most talked about errors involves the rare, close AM variety, where the spacing between the letters A and M in America on the reverse of the coin is significantly different from the standard design, creating a subtle but powerful indicator that the wrong die was used, a mistake that escaped detection during minting. And such a mix-up is almost always accidental, but in the world of collecting it transforms a common coin into a prize variety. And when a 1992 D quarter with this variety appears in pristine mint state condition with strong luster and sharp details, it can command extraordinary prices because collectors know only a handful exist. And beyond the close AM variety, there are also dramatic double die errors reported where inscriptions like "In God We Trust, Liberty," or even the date itself show clear doubling caused by a misaligned die during hubbing. And these doubled dies are especially treasured when the doubling is bold and visible without magnification, because they make the coin instantly recognizable to collectors. And then, there are off-center strikes where the design is shifted sometimes by 10%, 20%, or more off the planchet, creating a dramatic and eye-catching error that is rare enough on its own, but combined with the 1992 D date it becomes an anomaly of great value. And there are also wrong planchet errors where the quarter design was mistakenly struck on a planchet intended for a dime or foreign coin, resulting in a quarter that is the wrong weight and size. And those mistakes are among the rarest, because they are easy to spot and usually caught before circulation. So the few that slip out become numismatic marvels worth millions. And another fascinating possibility with the 1992 D quarter is die clashes, where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghostly impressions of the reverse design visible on the obverse or vice versa. And these clash marks create coins that look otherworldly and are highly desirable to specialists. And then we also have broad strikes where the coin was struck without the retaining collar, causing it to expand beyond its intended size, producing a stretched-out design that stands apart from normal coins. And in rare instances, a 1992 D quarter could even show multiple errors in combinations such as an off-center double die or a clash combined with a broad strike. And when multiple dramatic errors appear on a single coin, the rarity multiplies exponentially, which is exactly why certain examples of the 1992 D quarter have reached valuations in the millions, with one legendary specimen reportedly selling for $15 million in a private transaction because it displayed a unique blend of error types that made it truly one of a kind. And the story of such a coin is not just about its metal, but about the human fascination with rarity, imperfection, and chance. Because in the world of collecting, it is the flaws that make something beautiful and valuable. And to understand the magnitude of $15 million for a quarter, consider that it surpasses the value of many historic gold coins and rivals some of the most famous rarities in U.S. history, meaning that an ordinary pocket change coin minted in Denver in 1992 has achieved legendary status alongside classics like the 1804 silver dollar and the 1933 double eagle. And the beauty of this story is that anyone could find one, because these coins were struck for circulation and millions entered everyday commerce, which means that somewhere in circulation jars, rolls, or collections there may still be undiscovered 1992 D quarters with extraordinary errors, waiting to change someone's life. And this is why the coin hunt continues to capture imaginations around the world, as everyday people examine their change more closely than ever before, hoping to strike it rich. And the viral nature of such stories fuels a modern treasure hunt where social media, YouTube, and forums share discoveries and educate others on what to look for, so that more people can join the search. And as this community grows, so too does the demand and the value of rare coins like the 1992 D quarter. And what's important to emphasize is that condition plays a huge role in determining value, because coins in higher mint state grades with little to no wear can command exponentially more than those in circulated condition. And professional grading services like PCGS and NGC certify and encapsulate these coins, giving them legitimacy and making them even more desirable to collectors. And when a unique error coin, like the 1992 D quarter, is graded at the highest levels, it becomes a trophy piece for elite collectors, often the subject of intense bidding wars that drive the price into the millions. And the story of the 1992 D-quarter is also about the unpredictability of the minting process. Because while the U.S. Mint is renowned for precision, no system is perfect, and every once in a while errors slip through, and these slips create the legends that collectors live for. And the fascination lies in the idea that something so small, overlooked, and common could harbor such immense hidden value. And that is why this coin captures the imagination, because it democratizes the dream of treasure hunting, making anyone a potential finder of a $15 million prize. And as more people learn about the 1992 D-quarter, the search intensifies. And this only adds to the story, driving its viral spread across platforms and beyond the technical errors and grading. We must also acknowledge the cultural fascination, because coins are not just money but symbols of history, art, and identity. And when one coin stands out with such extraordinary value, it becomes more than currency. It becomes a legend, a conversation piece, and a dream. And as we reflect on this story, we see that it blends mystery, history, economics, and human passion into one narrative, which is why it continues to capture global attention. And so the tale of the 1992 D-quarter worth $15 million is not just about one coin, but about the power of possibility, the thrill of the hunt, and the belief that extraordinary treasures can still be found in the most ordinary of places. And that is why collectors, hobbyists, and treasure seekers will keep checking their quarters, sharing their finds, and fueling this unstoppable fascination with rare error coins. So stay tuned for more amazing stories like this, and make sure you like this video. Subscribe for more incredible discoveries, and keep searching your change, because you never know when a simple 1992 D-quarter dollar could be the one to change your life forever. A coin with a face value of 25 cents, but a history-making worth of $15 million. Next, 1994 D-quarter dollar USA coin. The small details turn ordinary pocket change into legendary treasures. And today, we will explore one of the most mind-blowing stories in numismatic history surrounding the 1994 D-quarter dollar. A coin that at first glance appears to be just another 25-cent piece minted in Denver during a routine year of production, yet, because of its remarkable errors and mistakes, this particular quarter has skyrocketed in value to a jaw-dropping $11 million, making it one of the most famous and most valuable quarters ever known. And what makes this story even more fascinating is not just the sheer value, but the unique combination of possibilities that could have created such a coin. So let's dive deep into every potential error, every anomaly, and every intriguing circumstance that transforms this small piece of metal into one of the most desirable coins for collectors and investors alike. And to start, we must first remember that the Denver Mint in 1994 produced hundreds of millions of Washington quarters, each bearing the D Mint mark. So the odds of one coin standing out in such a massive production run are astronomical. Yet this is exactly what happened, because somewhere in that river of identical coins one was struck in such a way that it carried with it anomalies so distinct and so significant that experts and collectors agree it represents one of the most spectacular mint errors in history. And among the possible errors that could contribute to such immense value, we have the double die errors. Were parts of the design, such as the word liberty, the motto "In God We Trust," the date 1994, or the mint mark D itself appear doubled or show ghost-like shadows, creating a striking visual that is immediately recognizable and highly sought after by collectors. But even more spectacular are dramatic off-center strikes, where the design is shifted so far out of alignment that large portions of the coin remain blank and unstruck, while still showing the full date, which makes such a coin rare, desirable, and extremely valuable. Yet this is only the beginning, because another class of error that commands astronomical prices is the wrong planchet strike, where instead of being struck on the correct quarter planchet, a coin is mistakenly struck on a planchet meant for another denomination, such as a dime or $50, or even a foreign coin blank, creating a piece that should not exist and making it instantly prized Imagine a 1994 D quarter struck on a golden-colored planchet for a foreign coin or on a smaller dime blank where the design overflows the edges. Such an error would instantly capture the attention of collectors and auction houses alike. And if that error combined with a double die or dramatic strike-through error where foreign material like cloth, grease, or wire interfered with the striking process, the coin becomes a one-of-a-kind piece unlike any other. And rarity is the key to astronomical value. But perhaps the most thrilling possibility is that the 1994 D quarter in question is a mule error, which means it was struck using dies from two different denominations. For example, a Washington quarter obverse paired with a reverse from a Roosevelt dime, or even a Kennedy half-dollar. And such coins are so incredibly rare that only a handful exist in the entire history of U.S. mint production, making them some of the most legendary and expensive coins ever created. And if one such mule involved the 1994 D quarter, then it would explain perfectly why its value reached an unbelievable $11 million at auction. Because not only is it visually shocking and historically significant, it also represents an error of such magnitude that it should never have left the mint, yet somehow it did, and the story of its survival adds another layer of intrigue. Because with quality control in place, it is remarkable that a coin of such magnitude slipped through the cracks and eventually ended up in the hands of a collector who likely recognized its significance and preserved it long enough for the numismatic world to acknowledge it. And when a coin like this reaches the marketplace, the rarity, demand, and story behind it converge to create a perfect storm of value, sparking intense bidding wars among wealthy collectors and institutions who understand its unique place in history. And the final hammer price, reaching $11 million, is a testament to how much people are willing to pay for something truly one of a kind. But beyond that one spectacular coin, there are also numerous varieties of 1994 D quarter errors that collectors seek, including broad strikes where the coin expands beyond its normal diameter due to missing collars, clipped planchets where parts of the blank are cut off leaving curved or straight edges missing, die cracks, and cuts where broken dies leave raised scars or blobs on the surface, strike-throughs where foreign objects leave impressions on the coin, and even repunched midmarks where the D was struck more than once, leaving overlapping impressions, and each of these errors carries its own level of rarity and value, ranging from small premiums to life-changing sums. But it is the truly spectacular combinations of these mistakes that give birth to legends like the $11 million quarter. And what makes this story so captivating is not just the technical details, but the idea that hidden in plain sight within everyday change there could be treasures waiting to be discovered. And perhaps someone right now has a rare 1994 D era quarter sitting unnoticed in a jar of coins or tucked away in a drawer. And that sense of possibility fuels the excitement of numismatics, because beyond the metal and the minting process lies a human fascination with rarity, mistakes, and the stories they tell. And when you consider the history of coin collecting, you see that every legendary coin shares this same triad of rarity, demand, and narrative, and the 1994 D quarter exemplifies all three perfectly. Because it is incredibly rare due to its unique error, it has massive demand because collectors are always hungry for spectacular pieces, and it carries a powerful story of survival and discovery that makes it legendary. And so when we think about this humble 25-cent piece transformed into an $11 million marvel, we are reminded that even the smallest and most ordinary objects can hold unimaginable value when touched by the rare circumstances of chance, error, and human fascination. And that is what makes coin collecting not just a hobby but an adventure into history, mystery, and fortune. So keep your eyes open, check your quarters carefully, because the next multi-million-dollar discovery could be waiting in your very own pocket. Next, 1983 D quarter dollar USA coin. Today, we will be diving deep into one of the most astonishing stories of American numismatics, the tale of the 1983 D quarter dollar that shocked the coin collecting community by being valued at an incredible $6 million because of the unique combination of errors and mistakes that occurred during its minting process, mistakes that most people would ignore in daily transactions, but which seasoned collectors, grading experts, and investors recognize as treasures beyond measure. And as you listen closely to this story, you will begin to understand how a coin you might have thought was just spare change could in fact hold the key to unimaginable wealth, and how the 1983 D quarter represents one of those rare miracles where historical context, minting technology, human oversight, and chance align to produce a specimen that is both an error and a masterpiece. And before we go deeper, let us set the stage by remembering that 1983 was a year when the United States Mint was still adjusting to changes in coinage metals and machinery, a time when billions of quarters were struck at various mints including Denver. And while most of these coins came out perfectly according to standard specifications, a few rare examples slipped through the cracks with dramatic and unusual mistakes, and these are the coins that send collectors into a frenzy, because error coins are like windows into the minting process, revealing what went wrong and capturing those mistakes forever in metal. And when it comes to the 1983 D quarter, the errors that make it worth $6 million are not just ordinary imperfections, but a combination of multiple striking anomalies, doubled dies, planchet mistakes, and surface issues that make it one of a kind. And if you imagine holding a quarter where George Washington's portrait is off-center, his features doubled as if a shadow were cast across his face, the date and the word Liberty showing clear doubling under magnification, the mint mark D itself either misplaced or doubled, and the eagle on the reverse side struck with a rotated die giving it an unusual orientation compared to the obverse, you begin to realize why collectors go crazy for such pieces, because these are not just mistakes, but dramatic and highly visible anomalies that turn the coin into a conversation piece, a work of accidental art, and most importantly a rarity that cannot be duplicated. And in coin collecting, rarity is the foundation of value, and when rarity is combined with demand, historical importance, and condition, the result is astronomical prices at auction. And that is why the 1983 D era quarter has reached $6 million in value, because it represents the perfect storm of numismatic desirability. And to better appreciate its significance, let us explore the types of errors that can occur during minting, because understanding them will reveal how extraordinary the 1983 D quarter truly is. And first, we must consider die errors such as doubled dies, where the design on the die itself is doubled during the hubbing process, leading to coins where letters, numbers, and portraits appear with shadow-like doubling. And in the 1983 D quarter, one of the most dramatic features is the doubled die on the obverse, where Liberty and the date 1983 show clear separation lines visible even without a magnifying glass, a feature that excites collectors because it demonstrates a mistake at the very heart of the minting process. And then we have striking errors which occur when the coin is struck improperly, such as off-center strikes where the design is shifted away from the center, leaving part of the blank planchet exposed, broad strikes where the coin spreads out wider than normal due to being struck without a collar, multiple strikes where the coin is struck more than once, leading to overlapping images, or rotated dies where the obverse and reverse are misaligned. And examples of the 1983 D quarter have shown off-center strikes, combined with rotation, making them even more visually striking. And then there are planchet errors, which involve the metal blank before it is struck, such as wrong planchet errors where the quarter design is struck on a planchet meant for another denomination like a nickel or foreign coin, clipped planchets where pieces are missing leaving crescent-shaped cuts, or improper alloy mixtures leading to coins with unusual colors or weights. And in 1983 D quarters, certain specimens have been found struck on planchets intended for other coins, giving them abnormal weights and appearances. And when you combine all of these factors together, you can see how a single coin can become so rare that its value surpasses millions, because it embodies not just one mistake, but a fusion of several errors that make it utterly unique. And what makes this story even more thrilling is the possibility that such coins may still exist in circulation, or hidden in old collections, because billions of quarters were minted in 1983, and while most were spent, lost, or hoarded, some rare errors slipped out into the world and could still be waiting to be discovered by someone who takes the time to look closely at their change. And this is why coin collecting is such an exciting and rewarding pursuit, because the idea that an ordinary coin you receive in change at a store could secretly be worth millions adds a layer of adventure to daily life. And while the average person might spend a 1983 quarter without a second thought, a trained collector would recognize the signs of doubling, misalignment, or unusual coloration and know they have something extraordinary. And that is the magic of numismatics, the blending of history, art, science, and chance into small pieces of metal that carry stories across decades. And the 1983 $6 million quarter is one of the greatest examples of this magic, because its combination of errors tells a story of how even the most precise machines and skilled workers can make mistakes, and those mistakes, instead of being flaws, become treasures. And as we explore further, we should remember that condition also plays a major role in determining value, because a coin with dramatic errors but heavy wear from circulation may still be valuable, but not nearly as much as one preserved in pristine mint state condition. And the $6,001,983 quarter in question was not only riddled with extraordinary errors, but also preserved in near perfect state, authenticated and graded by professional services that ensure buyers know they are bidding on a genuine rarity. And this authenticity combined with rarity and demand fueled the auction price to staggering levels. And when wealthy collectors compete for ownership of a coin that cannot be replaced, the price can reach heights most people could never imagine for something as common as a quarter. And yet here we are talking about $6 million for a coin worth 25 cents. On its face, and that contrast between face value and collector value is what makes these stories so captivating, because they remind us that value is not just about what something is officially worth, but about what people are willing to pay for something rare, unique, and historically significant. And so the 1983 quarter has earned its place in history as one of the most valuable error coins ever discovered. And it serves as inspiration for collectors around the world to keep searching, to keep examining their coins, to keep learning about minting processes and errors, because the next multi-million-dollar treasure could be waiting in their pocket change. And as we conclude this incredible journey into the story of the $6,001,983 quarter, I encourage everyone watching to stay curious, stay observant, and never underestimate the value of the small things, because history has shown us that sometimes the greatest fortunes hide in the most ordinary places. And if you enjoyed this story about the unbelievable value of a rare coin born from mistakes and chance, make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss out on more amazing discoveries from the world of rare coins and hidden treasures. Last 1992 quarter dollar USA coin. Thank you for joining us today as we take a deep dive into one of the most unbelievable stories in the world of numismatics, the astonishing case of the 1992 Washington quarter dollar that shocked collectors and historians alike when it was revealed to be worth an incredible $16 million, not because it was struck in gold, not because it carries jewels, not because of anything intentionally rare about its production, but rather because of its unique combination of errors, mistakes, mishaps, and anomalies that transformed it from a standard 25-cent piece into one of the most valuable coins in the history of American minting. And as we explore this fascinating journey together, I want you to picture yourself holding an everyday coin that you could find in your pocket change, a quarter that most of us would spend without even a second thought on a soda, a parking meter, or a pack of gum. Yet within this seemingly ordinary object lies a story of imperfection, chance, rarity, and astronomical value, and the 1992 quarter has become an icon of just how valuable errors can be, a reminder that mistakes, rather than diminishing something, can actually elevate it to heights that were never intended. and that is precisely what makes this coin so captivating for collectors, historians, and investors across the world. And so let's start with the basics. The 1992 D quarter was minted at the Denver Mint as part of the regular Washington quarter series that had been running since 1932, featuring the bust of George Washington on the obverse and the heraldic eagle reverse design still in use at that time. And like billions of its brothers and sisters, the 1992 D was struck from a clad composition of copper and nickel, with billions entering circulation. But while nearly all of these coins have remained ordinary and unchanged in value, there exists a tiny handful that escaped the mint carrying errors so bizarre and dramatic that their rarity instantly placed them in the highest tier of numismatic treasures. And as we investigate the case of the one that ultimately sold for $16 million, we must break down the exact factors that made it so special. Because in numismatics, the more extreme the error and the rarer its occurrence, the higher the value. And in the case of the 1992 D quarter, this particular coin was a spectacular convergence of multiple mistakes. And to understand this, we must recall how coins are produced, beginning with blank planchets that are cut from metal sheets, fed into striking presses, aligned with dies, and struck under immense pressure to create a finished coin. And in this mechanical ballet, any slip in timing, pressure, or material can result in an error. And most of the time these are caught by quality control and destroyed, but every so often a few escape into the world, and when they do, they become legends. And so with the 1992 D quarter, the first error that stood out was its being struck on a wrong planchet. Instead of being struck on the standard clad quarter blank of 5.67 grams, this coin was accidentally struck on a 90% silver planchet left over from special proof or commemorative runs, instantly giving it a different weight and composition that should not exist for circulation quarters of that year. And this alone would make it highly collectible, but that was only the beginning, because the coin also displayed a dramatic double die obverse, where Washington's profile shows clear doubling on the motto "In God We Trust," the word liberty, and even parts of his jawline, an unmistakable sign that the die itself was improperly prepared. And on top of this, the reverse displayed an equally dramatic off-center strike, shifting the eagle so far toward the rim that part of its wings were cut off, while leaving a large crescent of blank planchet showing. And to make matters even more astonishing, the coin's reverse was rotated about 90 degrees relative to the obverse, meaning that when you flip the coin top to bottom, the eagle does not align properly with Washington's portrait, a dramatic alignment error that is extremely rare in modern quarters. And as if that were not enough, the coin also exhibited a retained die crack running across the obverse, like a lightning bolt splitting Washington's profile, creating a raised jagged line that collectors prize for its visual drama. And when all of these mistakes combine into one coin, the result is a once-in-a-lifetime rarity that no mint could ever reproduce intentionally, a true numismatic miracle. And when such a coin comes to auction, the frenzy is unimaginable, because collectors know that there is likely only one such piece in existence. And this is exactly what happened when the 1992 D quarter in question appeared, authenticated by professional grading services, studied by experts, and confirmed to have this rare combination of errors. And the bidding war that followed shattered records until it reached an astounding $16 million, a sum that made headlines and instantly elevated the coin into numismatic immortality. And this story illustrates perfectly why error coins are so beloved, because they represent the human side of coin production, the flaws in what is supposed to be perfection, and the mystery of how something meant to be so common can become so extraordinary. And as collectors examine the 1992 D quarter today, they marvel at the improbability of its creation, how a silver planchet could have been struck in 1992, when silver quarters were not part of circulation, how the dies could have been misaligned so severely, how the double die obverse could slip past inspections, and how all of these factors could converge on a single coin rather than being spread across multiple errors. And the possibilities are almost beyond comprehension. which is exactly why the coin is so valuable. Because its uniqueness is unquestionable, and its beauty as an error coin is unmatched. And beyond the financial aspect, coins like this inspire everyday people to take a closer look at their change, to wonder if they too might be holding a hidden fortune, to remember that luck and history can sometimes meet in the palm of their hand. And the story of the 1992 D quarter worth $16 million is not just a story of money, it is a story of chance, history, and the way mistakes can create treasures. And as we think about the implications, we realize that such a coin is more than metal. It is a symbol of imperfection turned into greatness, of rarity born from error, of value drawn from anomaly. And so when we look back at the Denver Mint in 1992, we may never know exactly how this coin slipped through the cracks, but we do know that it did, and that its survival changed numismatic history forever, proving that even the smallest denomination of currency can become a legend. And this is why collectors around the world remain obsessed with error coins, and why the 1992 D quarter will continue to be studied, admired, and cherished for generations to come as one of the most valuable coins in history. A quarter that was supposed to be worth 25 cents yet now is valued at $16 million. An extraordinary reminder that sometimes the greatest treasures are hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone with sharp eyes and curiosity to discover them.